Hi.
Hi. Right, what are you laughing at?
Don't know. It's another week.
Here we go again.
January can't come quick enough.
Sending texts about where we should pick the pod up again and not getting any reply.
It's fucking full on.
I know. I can't, if we do a couple of interviews, I can't believe how tired I am.
I said to Naomi, I told her my day today, and she went, "Oh, right. No. I know it doesn't sound much.
Oh.
Yes, okay. I'm doing the children at lunches day."
I had that with Petra, so I'm exhausted. Just I got that. She looked up from her laptop and went like that.
I'll be honest with you, last night, it was 8 o'clock, I was in bed with Naomi, and I just looked at the pod schedule, and I went, fuck! Dan's got to be out on Tuesday! I came down the office till 9:45.
Oh no. Oh no.
Yeah.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Night love, just going to quickly check the pod schedule.
Honestly, I was like, oh, fucking hell. Because I couldn't do it today. It's too busy today.
Fuck.
Anyway, welcome to...
Little moan. I might have a surprise guest for you.
Oh, I couldn't give a fuck, mate. Who gives a shit?
Oh, I'm glad I tinkered with that.
When?
It's in a couple of weeks, and
right.
There's one day they said they could possibly do. It's a possible, and it's the day of the England game. We can do the first England game. But it'll be in the day if you can do it.
You sound quite excited.
I am. Actually, I'm really excited.
Wow.
But it's one of those ones I'm like, oh, should I say anything because it might not happen?
Yeah.
And if it doesn't happen, well, anyway, but you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I can't, I'm terrible at things like that. I'm like, I want to say things straight away. I can't really hold.
So do I. I give Naomi all her presents a week before her birthday. Say, open them.
Oh, good. I'm glad it's not me. I can't hold anything in.
No.
Oh, I want to share this excited before I lose interest in it, basically.
Yeah, so we've got a guest today. Do you know Gary? Have you ever met Gary?
No. Oh, here is Gary.
Shit. We haven't introduced him.
Oh, we'll have to do it in front of him. My door's banging. Oh, crap.
Okay.
Sorry, hold on.
All right, answer it.
Oh, no, there's drilling as well. So there's drilling as well. Can you hear that drilling?
I can't.
I wonder why some people's name stays up for ages first.
Are you there, Gary? Or maybe it's an hour's time. So we got Gary Turk on today. Are you there, Gary?
Say in a friendly way.
Are you there, Gary?
Are you there, Gary?
So, Gary was a runner on Series 1 of Derek. Hey!
Oh.
Hello, Gary.
Hello, David. Hello, Joe.
How are you?
Hi.
I'm good. How are you guys?
Yeah, very well, thank you.
Thanks for coming on the pod.
No problem. It's an honour. I love it.
It's an honour.
Yeah.
Is it an honour?
Well, it's one of my favourite podcasts. I listen to you guys quite regularly. So
I feel the panic attack well up. We struggle finding out people listen. What about...
Did I send you... Sean McLaughlin sent a message yesterday and said he was involved in a car accident.
Oh, shit.
Or he witnessed one, and he got out of his car to help the guy, and as he got out, our Chatterbix episode was blaring across the street talking about Greg's.
Oh, no. No, that's...
Oh, man.
Imagine that was the last thing he ever heard. Anyway.
Gary.
David.
Hi.
All right.
So we were talking about what guests we'd like to have on, and I mentioned you. I thought I'd love to chat to you about what happened.
Yeah.
Because I think I would have had some sort of breakdown, or just because I go that way.
I was lucky when it all happened to avoid the breakdown because I was in a bit of a bubble.
Well, can we? So
Should
basically,
explain how you two know each other and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
first?
go on. Yeah.
No, you.
You do.
No, you. So on series, was it series 1 of Derek, or was it the pilot?
Well, it was both. It was the pilot and series 1.
You were the runner, weren't you?
Yeah. I ran the thing.
You were the big guy. You were the big guy.
You ran the thing. But I remember having a chat to you. I don't know if I'm allowed to say that. I'll cut it out. But you were kind of saying, oh, fucking hell, I've got to pay my rent. I don't know how to... Mm-hmm. And then maybe we finished the filming. Maybe it was in the edit. I don't know where it was. But you then made a video...
Yeah.
Called Look Up.
Look Up, yeah.
That went viral overnight, went absolutely nuts. And then the next time I saw you, you were jet setting left, right, and centre.
You were smoking cigars a lot. I
In the dream. Yeah.
But it all happened over 12 hours.
Yeah, changed my name to a symbol. It just all went crazy.
Yeah. What is your symbol?
The at sign, I should imagine.
It's just a question mark.
Right. Okay.
The enigma.
Okay. So what happened?
So yeah, I mean, because I worked on Derek and stuff like that, just as the making the teas and coffees and banana wrangler. And I just wanted to get in because I was doing stand up a lot and wanted to work in comedy, and then got this opportunity to work on that. And it's great, but then as soon as I was working on that, I just realized that even the career progression from that angle, unless you're creating the thing, is just going to be service. Like you're just going to be assistant director, or it's all production stuff or office based. And I knew I wanted a creative job. So I loved working on it, and that's how I kind of learned things. But it made me realize that, oh God, like if I just stick at this, and even if I'm really successful at what I'm doing, I'm only going to ever be working on someone else's project. And I was like, so I want to make something. And so I went from Derek, and then I did Comic Relief, and I was
did you
working
work on that little sketch Ricky and Stephen did? Was that?
Yeah. The
Does it Bob Geldof?
Equality Street.
Right. Oh, the one with Ben.
Street. Yeah.
Yeah, and then in between that, you did a sitcom pilot with you, Gittins, the one for Channel 4.
Yeah, of course.
Oh, well, the taxi driver one. Oh, wow, so we're going back quite a...
Yeah,
How many years ago is this
2012?
Gary
10 years ago.
I think.
10 years ago. Yeah.
You were so ahead of it. Yeah, you dropped out of school, didn't you? And
My parents didn't even know.
Yeah, yeah. You never did secondary school, did you? You just went from primary school straight to Derek.
Yeah, just the University of Ricky Gervais.
Yeah, it was
a scholarship program.
Yeah, it was tricky apparently because you cried a lot.
So I did that, and then but when I was working on this stuff, I was like, okay, I need to make something of my own. But I had no intention of, I wasn't one of these people who watched YouTube. I didn't even understand that world or online videos. I was just making a video with no intention of where to put it or anything. I was like, so I want to make something. My plan was to make loads of things. So then I've got like a show reel of being like, here's some stuff I've written, here's some stuff I've directed, chop it up, send it to whoever that I've met doing all this stuff. Because that's the cool thing I felt was I've got these connections now and these producers and people I've worked with that I can just say, hey, can you check this out? So I felt so after Comic Relief, I quit TV and moved out of London because I just couldn't afford to be there. And I got a job as a postman. And can I
ask about that? Yeah.
Oh, I actually loved it. It's like,
my postman loves it as well.
Yeah, I actually saw a little documentary of, it's like one of these little 10-minute short things. Just followed a postman in like Perranporth, Cornwall. And he was like, this is my job. And I just wake up in the day and I get to know the neighbours and I just do my own thing. And I was like,
Postman Pat.
Yeah. And he's like, and I'm done by midday. And I was like, wow, I don't even get up at midday. I was like, I could have work done and have my whole day. So I thought, well, I'll do that. And then I can make stuff in the day when I'm finished.
What time did you have to start
though? Between 6 and 7.
Oh, not too
on the route.
What time of year was this?
Spring I started doing it.
Did you wear little cargo shorts?
Yeah.
Did you? Right. So I know we're going postman heavy at the moment, but rather than while you're on. But
that's why you got me on, right?
Yeah. I feel like now I'm less interested in the viral video. But did you have a beat? Did you have your same route?
Yeah, route number 15. That was me all over.
Where was this?
I did it. I actually had to do it in Heathfield, which was the tiniest little
rural town. Oh my God!
Fuck!
No way! If you've just hit the mother load, Okay, we're back on fucking Heathfield. Shit.
Honestly, we've done 4 episodes on Heathfield.
And David, obviously we'll bleep it out, but
and my housemate who I lived with was the only policeman that was ever on patrol. So on my lunch break, it'd be the postman and the policeman would sit in his car and have lunch.
Was this a fictional village?
This is so weird.
Right, okay, this is men. You don't know how much we talk about Heathfield.
Bring it on. Like it's
right, well, you lived in Heathfield as well, David.
I didn't
You
live in
lived there?
Heathfield. I lived in Hartfield.
Oh, you lived in Hartfield. Shit, yeah, of course.
I was in Heathfield a week ago.
I haven't been back there since.
This is not blowing Gary's mind.
I didn't leave on good terms.
Gary couldn't give a flying fuck.
I've regressed it. I had to leave on bad terms. So
did you?
Why?
Well, I became an international superstar, mate. What was I
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I love the idea of you getting into a limo still dressed as a postman, just driving off.
Well, I almost when I had to leave that job was because I had to phone them up because I got asked to be on BBC Breakfast and I had to deliver the mail and I had to on the day and I was like,
amazing. Whoa, hold you. We got to go back.
Yeah. Okay, you're being a postman.
I think Gary's going to come on for 5 episodes.
Yeah. You're going to be the new Paul Galton, I think. There's no bigger compliment. So you're being a postman, so you can do stuff in the afternoon.
Yeah.
Were you living in Heathfield?
No, I was living in Eastbourne.
God, that's a long old commute.
Half hour?
Yeah, about half hour, 40 minutes. So I had to get up even
I
earlier.
always thought postman's delivered locally.
Yeah, but when I applied for the job, there wasn't any spaces. So they said, we'll put you in Battle. And I was like, that's even further.
Is it?
So I was like, can you do any... Well...
I don't know. I've done my geography down there.
Probably about the same.
I don't want to
Eastbourne,
pull that over it.
In terms of traffic.
I know. Jesus, sorry, Carol.
Basically, if you know the A27, going to Heathfield's a smarter route in the morning.
I can't believe you worked in Heathfield.
So yes, I just took the job in Heathfield, and it was nice. Though it was very hilly.
Hilly? Yeah, there are some hills. Yes.
You need to tread very, very carefully. David is a bit of a patron.
There are some hills.
They're good hills.
God.
Are they sledgeable hills in the winter, would you say?
Can you remember any roads?
Honestly, can't know. It's 10 years ago. But
how long did you do it for? Did you know any of the local? Did you get to know anyone?
Yeah, well, you get to know the people because I'm just doing this. I was doing one route. Some people do a different one every day because they'll cover people on their days off.
Yeah.
So they'll just pick up everyone's route. Whereas I just did the same one every day.
I've always wondered, like, what day? How long does it take before you go? Oh my God, I'm going mad now. I'm doing the same route.
Or do you
I'd say about 2 months in, you're a bit like, it's like the same. But I had my headphones in, so I just listened to like podcasts or Radio 4 or something, like just people talking as I go around. That kind of changed it up because even just listening to music sends you a bit loopy.
Yeah,
because you're doing the same thing. So I was doing that, and then at the same time, like, I was thinking, like, okay, what am I going to film later? What do I want to make? But then at the same time, because I had no idea it would work or that I'd find any success, I was like, what have I done? I was working like
how old
in
were you
London.
At this point?
Oh God, yeah, you just left a TV job and now you're posting.
Yeah.
No offense to post.
So it's like, it's cool doing a postman, but I was also like getting to hang around and be my heroes and work in the industry I wanted to work in and see how it kind of worked. And even when I left, Judith, the production manager on Derek and stuff, who was always helpful to get me work, she was just like, you're an idiot. What are you doing? Why have you left London? You keep doing all this. And I was like, but I'm not going to go in the direction I want to. So I'm walking around doing the post, but I'm also just like, is this the right thing to do? And I'm like, and I can remember walking around with these big bags of mail and just being like, I wish I could just find a bag like this on the street just filled with money, and then I could just make what I want to make and do what I want to do, because it was just, I felt like I was just gambling with my time.
Sorry, not to laugh at you.
You would have become a bank robber if this hadn't worked. You would have gone.
If there was a legitimate way to do it, I would have done it. I wouldn't have cared.
Robbed a bank?
Yeah.
If you could guarantee you wouldn't get caught.
Yeah, who wouldn't?
I always think that.
Like, it's all insured, isn't it? The money. It's not taking it from someone's house.
God, you're quite. I always think like you're a gambler by nature, then, aren't you? But you know what I mean. I always think like I'm such a steady Eddie.
Just irresponsible. I think.
No, I'm drawn to people like you because I'm not you.
Oh, Maverick Postman.
Yeah, but what I love is, I love the idea of people like being like just a postman and no one knowing that all that's rattling around your head. You know what I mean?
I do. Surely every person has stuff rattling around their head.
But like yours worked. That's what I know. That's what I find mad.
You didn't know what was around the corner.
No, and you gambled. Yeah. You gambled.
Well, I did the route every day.
Yeah, that's true. Well done. Lovely.
Yeah.
I missed that. I don't know. What did we say?
I said you didn't know what was
coming around the corner. I didn't get it.
Yeah,
shit, I'm annoyed at myself.
Postman joke.
Yeah. God. Okay, so there's so many things I'm intrigued with. So
I left TV, became a postman, and I was like, I'm going to make a video.
Yeah, but when you say you're going to make stuff, what are you going to make? What do you want to be?
What do you want to be?
I had
you aiming to
no
be a director?
idea.
Or?
Right, my grand scheme of things, and this is why this last year amazed me about you, David, was that my whole dream for years, even when I was at uni and before TV and stuff, was like, I just want to get a film on at Sundance. I was like, and I was like, I want to be one of these like indie writer directors that make like a comedy drama. And that's why I loved working on Derek and stuff. Anything that was like mixing comedy with like heart and pathos and a bit of meaning, that was like all I'd watch. And you know, all the music I listened and all the music I listened to was just like acoustic indie folk. Like, and my life would be a soundtrack. I'd be walking around, but maybe I should make a film about being a postman. Like, what would be the drama in that? And so I didn't know what I wanted to make. I just knew something along those lines, but I was like, I didn't know what I want to talk about. And I just thought, how am I going to, I didn't like like you're saying being a gambler, but I didn't take the time to write a feature film script because I'd be like, why would I spend all that time writing that in that? And then that maybe never happen. So I thought, why don't I just make something short, something small that I can then say, hey, look what I can make.
I think that's clever because it's stepping stones, isn't it? Do you know what I mean? It's like, I remember talking to a comedian, I won't say his name, but we were driving to a really shit gig in like Bournemouth or something, and neither of us had done anything, and we were talking about what we wanted to do, and I like he was sort of jumping miles ahead, and I was like, there's no way.
Why? What did he want to do?
He was writing like a Marvel movie or something, you know what I mean? And I was like, and that Marvel movie hasn't been made, or it was like he had this idea, and he sort of talking about who he wanted to play it, and it was just unrealistic. I think it was like Nicolas Cage or somewhere, and someone like that, and it was just bonkers. And we were
I'm now desperate to know this.
I'll tell you, it is in a minute. And but it was just like, I was like, why are you writing that now? Write that when you've done like something that
Hold steady, Eddie.
Yeah, well, we're on our way to a gig in Bournemouth in a pub. It just didn't feel like the next week someone was going to. Anyway, but you know what I mean? It was like, make something like you did, Gary, and then write your novel.
Yeah.
I just thought, should we say what actually happened, or is it intriguing not to quite know yet?
I think we've sown seeds.
Lovely. Accidentally sown seeds. Sorry, so I just thought I wanted to say that sounded clever to me, what you were doing, rather than writing.
It didn't feel it. It didn't feel at the time because I didn't know what it was I was making or what I was going to.
Yeah, okay, so that it might have you could have made that and got no traction. Then what? I wonder what.
Yeah, and I didn't intend to. Like, it's just, and I was doing stand up still at the same time because it's just something I've always done and didn't know where I was going to go.
How was that going at the time?
Just horrendous. Like, it was just, I was enjoying it. It was going well. I felt like, and I still do it now. And I feel like as I get older, I just get better and I enjoy it. But I'm still just like, I can't be bothered. Like, I'm not one of these people who's like going to book weeks ahead of gigs. I'm just like, if I see something come up, I'll do it. But I'm not like, I know that even if the best thing happened was like I got these bigger gigs and did it more often, I wouldn't be happy because it's not what I want to do. It was always a stepping stone to like get an audience or to transition into doing comedy, whether it's TV. And then I'm like, oh God, have I then made the mistake that I left doing comedy TV? I was in that world, but still felt more like doing stand-up was going to get me towards making my own stuff than making teas and coffees on the sets of the shows which I was working on. So I was doing that. And then I've got so many friends in bands and things that are like good bands and doing really well. And especially now, like since then. And they were like, do you want to make a music video for us? Or do you want to come on tour and film us for our like little video for online? So I was just doing anything I can to show like I can film, I can edit, I can direct, I can write. So I just had all these little projects on the go. And so this video Look Up that I made that went viral, that was the first one that I started working on.
What?
But
the first one?
Yeah. And I worked on it for a year. And now it's not like, it's this big project I was working on every day. I just did it on the weekends or whenever I had an idea, because I didn't know what it was going to be. I'd had a feeling and I had some ideas, and it was something I felt no one was talking about, the subject. And then I had ideas for shots and things. I was like, that'd be really clever to show that. But I had no story, I had no idea. And I would be hanging out with friends, and at the same time I'd be like, hey, do you mind if you just do this? And I'd film it. And I filmed the whole thing on one camera that cost me like 250 quid. Just the cheapest, lowest range DSLR camera that I just carry around with me. And so everyone in that video is either a good friend of mine or their family. Like my nieces, my nephews, my parents are in it. My girlfriend at the time is in it. My friend who popped over from Australia to visit, I got him in it. And it was just an idea that I had. So I had like a wall in my bedroom with Post-it notes that every time I had an idea for a shot, I'd write it on there. So I started to storyboard the idea for the film before I knew what it was about, where it was going to go. And I had a bunch of shots together, and I did that over months and months, just collecting them, not knowing what I'm making. And then I realized, oh wait, I've got all these shots, but they're like just silent shots. There's no dialogue, there's no story. There's just, what is this thing that I'm making? And then I thought, well, even if I wrote a script, then it's like, okay, so I've got a cheap camera, but I haven't got any microphones, I haven't got any audio equipment. How am I going to do it? Then I've got to worry about all this. So I just thought, just try and make like a silent film then. And then that seemed like a bad idea. So I thought, and I'd seen like spoken word videos and stuff online where people are like talking in rhyme over a video. And I was like, maybe I could narrate it like that. And so I sat down and just thought, okay, so I had loads of notes and ideas and feelings I was going to try and get across in film. So I used all my notes and I wrote Look Up in a day, the whole thing from start to finish. And it was just this long spoken word poem. And it's still as long, it's 5 minutes long, which if I'd ever thought I'm going to make this into a YouTube video, I wouldn't have been like, let's make it 5 minutes of spoken word verse. But I wasn't making it for that. So I just kind of put it all together, and over a year, I kind of, just made it.
So you had it already. I love the idea of that upload to YouTube.
Not knowing what's going to happen, yeah.
So, like towards the end, like I got all the shots together and I edited it, but then so many little things came up. Like I wanted music for it, and I didn't have the money to buy the rights to any music. So I got a friend who I'd been doing music videos for and stuff to write the music. And they're in quite a popular band now, like touring the world and doing stuff. But at the time, I don't know if they're called Tender. It's like an electronic, indie electronic kind of. It's not like dance or anything. It's just very kind of. It's very smooth. Yeah, I like it. Yeah. But they're in a band at the time called New Desert Blues, and it's like they changed over time. But I'd done loads of stuff. Like they did a tour in Germany, and I did some music videos for them. And so I just called in a favor. I was like, "Can you make this?" But it took months. I was like, have you done it yet? Have you done this? Can you do this? And because I hadn't sent him a video or anything, I just said, I've got this idea. Can you do some music? And so I was waiting on that. And then I recorded my bit. Every shot in the whole video I'm filming. And it's just on this crappy camera. And I'm using, like, there's moments where I'm using a tripod rested on a longboard to try and get a steady shot. Like, it's just very jerry rigged. And then the shot of me to camera is me just sitting on a tripod and running around. And I filmed it in a tin shed, and the day I filmed it was chucking down with rain, and I had to film that day because I hired someone who had the studio lights and stuff to light it. And so when I came to edit it, I just couldn't hear me talking. It was just the sound of rain on a tin roof. So then I had to dub. So that actual video, I'm not actually speaking in it. That is me. Right. I had to dub it. So it's the opposite of lip syncing. I had to try and get it perfectly timed. Yeah. And do all that. And so it's all these little things. And I was like, what am I doing all this? Why I didn't know what I was making. And it wasn't until I had a version of the edit without the music on it that I sent to my friend. and he showed, and I think he put it on his computer, and his girlfriend saw it, and no one had seen it. I just sent it to him and said, "Hey, I've done this," and I'd seen all the nuts and bolts. I didn't know if it was any good. It was long to me, and his girlfriend saw it, not knowing what it was, and it made her cry apparently. And I was like, "Oh, that's a good sign, I guess."
So is that the first time you thought, "Oh, people might like this"?
There's a reaction to it. But my main thought wasn't even like, "Oh my God, she made someone cry. This is going to be popular."
Yeah.
It was like, "Oh, if she likes it, then he might actually get on with the music and make it."
Yeah.
I've been waiting. So then he did the music. And this is all while I was being a postman.
I love that. I love to come back to that. Flip. Yeah, it's all going on.
And then my friend who'd done the music, he was also just like, "We're about to go on tour around Germany again. Can you come and film us?" So I took 2 weeks holiday off from being a postman. That's like all I would have got for the year, was to be like, I'm going to go film this. And even though I just had this video finished, look up, and it's like, and he just finished the music and had the file on my computer, my brain wasn't even thinking about that video. I was like, what could I make this tour documentary into that could get me maybe more work? Like I was thinking more about what I was about to go film in Germany than what I had, because I was like constantly just like, oh, well, maybe that'll be the break. Maybe this will lead to something. Because I was thinking, okay, well, if they become like the next Coldplay and I've got all this footage of them, like then I can make a film kind of thing. So I was just like bagging on them being successful, and I could piggyback off the back of that, then this film that I made. So I thought, okay, well, I've made this film.
Piggybacking off the back of Chatterpix.
Are you filming? Actually, we are.
Oh yeah, we are.
But so yeah, so the day, 2 days before going on tour in Germany, I thought, okay, well, I should share this video. It's just sitting on a hard drive somewhere. And I'd finished it about 2 months before this point. It had just been sitting on a hard drive. I had nothing. I'd made it. I was like, one day I'll send it to someone, or I'll wait till I've made more things so I can make a show reel. And so I thought, well, I want to share it with my friends and send it in an email to like people who I worked with abroad and what I've been working on, and just see what some people think. So I thought, well, it's a huge file, so I can't attach it to an email. So I'll stick it on YouTube, and then I can send them the link. And so I put it on YouTube, and then I also at the same, so I had the link, and then I thought, okay, well, I'll put a post on Facebook, and I've got like a private Facebook, just my friends only. And so I've got like, I had 422 friends, as I said.
When you did that, like, what were you expecting? Were you expecting like?
So I was just friends to go like, oh, well,
that's
done.
lovely.
I enjoyed that, or like, oh yeah, that's cool. I expected even just no reaction of people being like, you know.
Was it almost like a soft release? You know what I mean? It's like you haven't really put it out to the world. You just sort of put it out to friends.
Yeah.
It was like
you'd had it for 2 months. You're just like,
yeah.
Well,
to me, it was the same as if like I just filmed a funny video of my dog and thought I'll share this to my friends. I was like, I might get a bit of, you know, attention from it or something, or like people would like it, but I never thought this is going to be any more than this point of just sharing with my friends and they might like it. I didn't expect any of them to even share it like that. I didn't even ask anyone to share it. I literally posted it, and just all I said was, hey guys, I made this video. It might seem ironic that I'm posting it here, because I thought the whole point of the video is about getting people off their phones and social media. And I thought, I'm about to post it on social media. I feel like a bit of a hypocrite just to my 400 friends sharing this. So I thought, I'll post it here, make a little comment on that. I said, hope you like it. And that was it.
And what time of the day was this? What time of the day?
Like 6 p.m. on a Friday night.
On a Friday. And the YouTube
which is
link,
the worst
did
time.
That say look up? What did that say? What did the...
Well, it just said look up was the name of the video. I hadn't put anything else.
Yeah, right.
The thumbnail was just a picture of a shot from the film with the words look up on it. And then the description just said, I think I put an online spoken word film for an online generation. And then I put a list of credits that was just written by Gary Turk, directed by Gary Turk. And I was just like, I'm going to rinse this. But I want everyone to know everything that I did on this. And then I put my email address on there, just on the off chance that someone somewhere might see it and think, oh, I'm interested in this. Like on a rare, like if it happened. But yeah, I mean, so I had no intentions of it going viral, but I used to joke, because I can remember sitting there with my friend when he was writing the music, and I was listening, and he was like, what do you think about this? And he was just like, stopping every now and then and like putting the TV on, and or he'd be like, should we go out and get some food? And I'm just like, and I've been waiting for months to get some music. So I jokingly said like, come on, you'll be glad when this has got like 10 million views. And my mate who's on the sofa, like playing the Xbox, just like laughs his head off as he says that we're making this video. And that was the only moment I was like, even jokingly referred to the idea this could be a successful video. And so I put it online and there's nothing in the description, no nothing.
Yeah.
And then the next day,
Hang on.
Six, right, go.
So you put it online. How often were you checking it in the first hour to see if people had left a like or?
I think I spent like 10 minutes, 15 minutes just refreshing, but I didn't know the world of YouTube. I didn't really know about how it worked or like the idea that this, I didn't, this is one thing from the start, I didn't monetize it. I didn't expect people that I didn't know to see it. So I was more refreshing Facebook to see if my friends had liked it or I got comments. I wasn't particularly paying any attention to YouTube. And this is the thing that if I did it today, I don't think it would be as popular because I put a YouTube link on Facebook. And if you do that now, it gets restricted because they're competition. You can't play it in Facebook. You'd have to leave Facebook. Whereas back then I could put a YouTube video on Facebook and people would watch it there and then.
Right.
So there's no reason to go off and like look at the views or look at anything.
Right.
I was just looking at the comments. And so...
And sorry, jumping in, was there a point in that evening where we did forget about it and just get on with your night and go out or whatever? And
yeah, like I remember that night, my friends, my housemates, I lived with a guy and his girlfriend came over and they cooked dinner, and I remember sitting around the table and
all this is going on while you're having spag bowl.
Yeah, like it was just a normal...
Do you remember what you had for tea?
Yeah, curry. They made currywurst.
You make what, sorry?
Curry what?
Currywurst. You know what currywurst is?
Sausage curry?
Yeah, it's like a German dish where they chop up a bratwurst and put it in curry sauce with like curly fries.
Good joke.
So I dribbled. I genuinely dribbled. That sounds...
It is so good.
So I'm focusing on the wrong bit of the story, but that sounds... sounds amazing.
Oh my God. So you're having currywurst.
Yeah.
And all this
and outside in the... oh my God.
And then... But it did take days for it. It wasn't like overnight.
It was okay.
Because this is the funny thing. Like, so the next day I had tickets to go see, it was Sundance London, and this is when it was on at the O2. And I went to that and I saw, I think it was Mike Birbiglia's Seat Walk With Me and other stuff. And like they were there, like Mike was there and he did an interview with Jimmy Carr. And I was just like watching this and like talking about how he did stand up and how he's made this film at Sundance. And even though I got this film on Facebook, I'm just like, oh, I just wish I could just have a film or make something that I want. And I didn't even think Look Up was like that. And so I was watching that, spending the whole day at this event being like, this is what I want to be doing.
So how many views had you had at that point?
About
the next day?
500 maybe.
Okay, so nothing really had happened.
Okay, so nothing was happening during the curry first.
Okay.
No.
Okay.
So yeah, that night I was lucky that, I didn't even expect, I mean, that is more than friends than I had. So as soon as it got over like 400, I was like, wait, either they're watching it multiple times or
so
people that I don't know have watched it. But it wasn't shit to me because I wasn't expecting it to be a YouTube video. I wasn't trying to get subscribers or viewers or anything. I was like, this still to me was a thing I was going to email people and try and be like, hey, and is this anything? It was going to be the thing that gets me to make what I want to make, not be the end goal. And so the next day after Sundance was then I went to the airport to fly to Hamburg to meet my friends on tour and film them. And that next day it had 1,000 views. And I remember that because I was like, it's doubled in a day. And that's more than friends I've got. And I can remember walking through Gatwick Airport being like, I wonder if anyone notices me from my video. And it had 1,000 views. And I was like being like, man, maybe this is a thing.
Maybe you got ahead of yourself at that point, to be fair.
Maybe.
To be fair.
So then I jumped on the plane to meet my friends in Germany. Now,
it's true though. It's your first thing you've done.
Yeah.
You haven't got a big audience to send it out to for 1,000
Yeah, that's
people
not. That is.
Yeah, like 4 figures. And I was just like, and I'd not seen that. Anything I'd ever made had got like 36 likes or it had the amount of views would be less than friends I've got. So for it to pass that, I was like,
yeah, that's...
Oh, people are watching.
So you already like, oh, this has gone better than anything I've done, basically. Yeah.
Yeah, and then to me, if it ended, then I would have been like, oh, that was cool.
Yeah, right, okay.
And so I jumped on a plane to Germany, and then because I was so skint, I couldn't afford this is before the EU roaming thing came in. I couldn't afford a data bundle on my phone. So I basically went to Germany without having access to my phone or emails or anything.
Yes.
Unless I was in like a hotel. So it was only when we were like checking into hotels and there was free Wi-Fi in the lobby only. That's when I was being able to see stuff.
I still do that now.
And so I can remember like getting to Germany and like meeting the guys and being like, did you see the video I put out the other day? And they're like, no, we've been quite busy. Like, and it's like their moment, like they're on tour, they're seeing their fans every night, they're doing this stuff. And I'm like, oh man, I did this thing. But then I remember the first night we were sat together in like, we were all with the band and people were just sat in the hotel lobby while the manager was like checking in, sorting the rooms out. And we had the Wi-Fi. So everyone's like checking their emails and doing stuff because we're all just skint bastards who haven't had the internet for hours. And then I checked in on it and it had like 2,500 views. And I was like, oh man, like it's moving. And I showed it to the guys. We were all sat around in this.
Nervous for you.
Yeah.
Really
and everyone watched it at the same time. So I was like, hey, check it out. Because I finally had a break. We had the internet. And I was like, I made this video. And I was like, guys, I've got 2,500 views on this. Check this out. And they watched it and they're like, yeah, that's good, that is. And one of them was like, oh, you should stick that on Reddit or something. And I'm like, I don't know what Reddit is. I'm not going to do that. I don't understand it. And I think one of the band members was like, oh, share it. So they started sharing it and they started posting it to their friends. And then I started to get comments when I checked in then as well. I had one friend who like messaged me, be like, mate, I showed this to my mum and she cried. And people were messaging me saying, oh, that was really good. I didn't expect that. And all this kind of, and then I started to get messages from people rather than just likes and views. And so then I started to see people sharing it. And then the next day, like waking up, going down to the lobby, checking in again, it had like 10,000 views. Like, so imagine then I was like, oh man. And I checked my emails and even though it's only 10,000 views, I had one email from some guy who works for some local newspaper in Denmark who was like, oh, I've seen your video and would love to share and talk about it. If there's a chance we can get a quote and a photo of you. And I was just like,
you're Postman Gary.
10,000 views and like people in Denmark are like, and I was like, oh, this is weird that how did they even find it kind of thing? And it was only 10,000 views. And so I was like, oh man, that's mad. And I was like, oh, that's kind of interesting though. But I was like, okay, again, every stage was like, that was it. That was going to be the peak.
You thought that was it? You thought, okay, it's going to plateau now, do you think?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you wouldn't you? You'd expect it just to peter.
And so the next day, I check in on my phone again. This is what I was in a bubble, like protected from it all. I wasn't there refreshing because I couldn't. I wasn't following along. I think if it happened now, I would have gone insane. Like you hear about the guy who did that. Do you remember that Coney 2012 viral video? Yeah. Right.
What was that?
And he got found because it was like a charity campaign. He was naked, video.
Wasn't he? Walking around.
Yeah, he got found running around Venice Beach naked, just gone crazy because his video had hundreds of millions of views and all this exposure suddenly. And he just couldn't hack it. And I was like, if I hadn't gone to Germany, I probably would have been running around Brighton naked.
Shame.
Well, we would have got you on.
Let's see another story.
I'd have followed you, interviewing you.
The naked postman. So I was protected by that. And then the next day it had like 100,000 views.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And I was then getting the messages, and this was a sign from friends going like, I just saw a friend of mine share your video and they don't know you. Right.
They
just shared it on their own.
Oh, that's
friends were
deal,
seeing it come from other places. Yeah. And I was like, oh man, this is crazy. But the thing is, I was filming all day though. All I was thinking was like, all right, I need to get the cameras charged. I need to empty the hard drive. I need to film the band. Also, we had an extra car that we needed. So I was like doing driving duties every now and then. So I was driving like 6 hours to the next gig, like not checking my phone, not thinking about it.
Must be feeling quite a little bit of confidence coming into your system.
Also, why am I driving these bastards? I'm viral.
I was like, well, I didn't even think of it as like viral at that point. I was like, well, this is kind of.
Do you think
just getting a lot of views and people are talking about it?
Has that had that term?
To me,
not
viral
really
was
kind of. Viral now is.
Oh no, it was back then.
Was it? I don't know.
Yeah, but to me, I thought a viral video was had to be like a cat that is just like playing the keyboard kind of thing, like an off, like you've been framed type video,
right?
Or it would be like a clip from the X Factor or the World Cup or something that would just go mad. I didn't think a video that I had made was, it's like music videos get loads of views and people are just like, oh, that's just what they do. I didn't think it would have any attention. So I then was carrying on doing the tour kind of stuff. And then so the fourth day it had like it's just constantly every day it would like double. It had like 500,000 views.
Fucking hell.
And I was just like, okay. And that's when I started thinking in my head, I was like, that's how many Wembleys is that? And I was like, then I was thinking about the people. Then I was like,
shit, yes.
But then it started changing my head in terms of not even just like the career or future, what's going on. I was just like, how many people is that that is watching this? And that's when it started going fast, because then that's when people that had like followers started sharing it.
And what were they sharing it on, like Twitter and things like that?
Yeah. And a lot of it was, and it was one of those things where people were just sharing without comment. So I was like, like Andy Murray just tweeted it, just a link, and he hadn't tweeted in like 2 years, and he just tweeted like this one link to the video.
What were you feeling? Were you feeling like you were losing a bit of control? Or were you just excited by it all?
I was like giddy with excitement. I was like, this is like a thing I made. People are liking it, and I was like, oh, there's a glimmer of hope here that like I could maybe do something with this. And I was hoping this is just going to get me a meeting when I get back, or this is going to lead. There was no way that I thought it's a YouTube video. It wasn't going to make any money, wasn't going to make me a career. And I didn't follow YouTube, so I didn't even know that was a thing. I was never even looking at subscribers. I didn't know to monetize it. I didn't know to to follow up with another video. Like I didn't make another video for 6 months after this.
That'll be part 2, Gary.
Yeah. But so it was just this madness that was just blowing up. And I guess they're seeing famous people sharing it and stuff, and like getting DMs from people just like, oh, that was really cool, and like kind of a bit mad, like getting messages from like Darren Brown and pop stars in America and stuff, like just dropping in and just saying stuff. And I was just like, what is, but the thing is, I was completely protected because I had to see I had like a half-hour window every day where I could look at all this stuff, because I literally had a band.
I love that you're doing that.
Hired me to be there. That was like, we've got to load in. We've got to do a sound check. Can you film this? Can you come take a photo for us? Can you come and drive here? And I was like, and then my best mates, and also I was there to do a job. I was just like, okay, this can wait till I get back. And I was kind of just really enjoying myself, not doing the postal route every morning. And I was like getting to like film stuff. So I was like not even wanting to run home, because I was like, I booked 2 weeks off. I'm getting to do this kind of cool stuff in Germany, get to film every day. If I go back,
imagine doing the postal route whilst it was.
That would have been amazing as well.
That I think it would have been so hard to just walk around and not like check your phone, or to carry on, come back the next day kind of thing. Whereas I had friends that were dependent on me. We had to keep moving, and literally my phone did not work. I was in another country, and so it was kind of, it did save me, and I'm kind of grateful for that bubble, because I've made videos since, and you do just sit there refreshing, and you kind of overthink it, and you worry, and you're like, and we can get into other videos after if you want, but it warped my brain in terms of like the measures of success and what works, and it's it was horrible. But so the fifth day is when it happened. Like I was in Berlin, and we did a show. And I remember afterwards we'd met some like local fan who like wanted to show the band around Germany and go for a night out. And so we went to a bar and they had Wi-Fi. I was like, I'm just going to check in. And we saw it had like 900 and like 50,000 kind of thing. We're like, oh my God, is it going to get to 1 million? And I, at no point, even all this way, I thought, would it ever reach that 1 million mark? Yeah. And so we were sat in a bar in Berlin, just watching it, waiting for it to tick over to 1 million.
Oh, you saw it going up? You watched it go up?
Yeah, because we finally had Wi-Fi. We were in a bar, and then everyone's attention suddenly hit, because everyone's like, "No, wait, is it gonna?" Because even though it was going popular, we were like,
"So you're 950."
I was with a band, like the band, they get like hundreds of thousands of views, but it never gets to like 1 million on like their music stuff.
Sorry, do you say you're on 950,000?
Yeah, because it was going fast, so we were like, "This is going to happen."
So you thought, oh my God, so it could happen.
Sorry, you seeing the numbers?
Did you have to refresh and it would go?
Yeah, we were just refreshing it. Like I know now there are websites for like tickers that you can literally watch them kind of go. Whereas then I was just like dragging down, just refreshing it. And you were watching it change all the time.
like
It was just constantly going.
That's like watching a brilliant World Cup game or something. Just grit.
So my friends all got like, everyone had a whole load of like tequila shots ready. We were like, right, as soon as this hits 1 million, we're celebrating, and that's it.
Shit.
And I tell you what, it hit 1 million views. The tequila went back, and then I do not remember the rest of that night. But what I do remember is waking up feeling horrendous, like the most hungover I've ever felt. But then in the hotel, knowing we've got to go and drive to the next town, like 6 hours away, immediately after, like we've only got like an hour to get up, get washed, get ready to go, check our emails, and then I've got to get in the car, and then I'm driving, so I can't even check my phone. So then, but I woke up, this is the morning after it hitting 1 million, and I opened up YouTube being like, oh God, I wonder if it's like 1,100,000 now. I wonder like how fast is it going up? And it had 10 million views.
You went from 1 to a 10 overnight?
In a day, yeah. 5th of May, 2014. And I know this because every year it's in people's like Facebook memories and stuff. So on the 5th of May every year, I get like this burst of just like people discovering it again. And it's just, that day was just insane. But that's when so imagine all those emails, all those messages, all the thing, it was then 10 times. So my emails filled up. I had people jumping on me.
How did you feel in that moment when you saw?
Because you're hungover, so anxiety
Panicked.
And everything.
So yeah, I was like,
panic?
I was hungover, so I felt sick. I was panicking. That I was like, suddenly this is a thing that's bigger than me that needed a response. Because before I was like, oh, this is cool. I can show off about this. I can deal with this when I come home. And then suddenly I'm like, I've got like the Today Show emailing me in America. I've got people saying, you need to monetize this. These agencies coming and saying, we want to represent you. We want to come and do all this. I opened up my emails and I had all this stuff. I'd like, you know, it's a dream in a way to suddenly have this response and this, and these options and this attention. But I felt sick. I had to get washed. I had to get ready, and I had to go drive a car for 6 hours to get this band to the next show. And I was like, how am I going to do this? And it was just panic station. So I was like, right, who can I call? And I called Judith, the production manager from Derek, because I was just like, I don't know. She's always had my back. She kind of seemed like she knew stuff, like connections and people. I was just like, I don't know what I'm doing here. I was taking Skype calls with what they call multi-channel networks, the people that monetize your videos for you. So I didn't make any money for the first 10 million views. And then I needed to switch it on because they were like, if this does it again, the next day, people emailed me saying, this is what you'd be earning. And like, unless we switch it on.
Tell us.
Well, it's, you know, you're talking tens of thousands a day. Like,
Fuck.
If it's doing 10 million a day, but it didn't do this.
We've ever done. Please go viral.
Like you can work out any video, you can work out what someone owns if you know what it earns, but it completely depends on the level of the ads that are on there, the type of ads, whether they're the 30-second ones, the click-through ones. So you can work out a ballpark of what someone will earn.
Gary, if you'd monetized it, what would you have earned?
Yeah, what's the first 10 million if you'd monetized
in that first week?
The first 10 million, you know, like 15,000 quid, which to me was like almost what I was earning a year. Like the whole time I was working in TV, I was making like 20,000 a year.
It, you would have got £15,000.
Yeah, and I didn't. But then I had people emailing.
You'll always lose out on that first 10 million.
Because they've seen it, haven't they? Yeah.
Yeah, but it turns out I could have maybe claimed it. And we don't have to get into all of this. But then when a channel takes over the ownership to advertise on, so a network has to claim your channel to put their ads on it. And so what the rights I could have had, they could have claimed that money for me, but it wouldn't have been for them. They had no desire for it. And it was all happening in the background. I was busy that they just discarded it. So it just kind of, the option got lost.
So
that first day you were panicking. Like how long before you rang up Judith? Like in the first hour, or it took you?
Yeah. Well, I only had an hour before I woke up, before we had to be in the car, and I knew I'd be 6 hours without a phone. Like,
because I suppose you've got thousands.
I was like emails. I was getting Judith on the phone. I was having the people from these networks jumping on Skype, giving me the hard sell, saying this is the percentage you'll get. This is the money you'll make. Like you could get this tomorrow if you sign up now. Don't waste it. You've already lost this. you could make
So
this,
you know,
because they just want their
so
percent.
you know, if you don't do something there, the next 6 hours you could lose like $5,000 or something.
Yeah. And I didn't know, and I'd have to sign a thing, and I didn't know if I was signing my life away. Cut forward 3 years later, I'm suing them to try and get out of this arrangement because I did sign a dodgy deal, and it cost me thousands to try and get out, and it was the worst experience of my life. But I didn't, and so at the time I was scared of that, and it did happen. But that's, it's not be all and end all. It was just a dodgy contract that meant I could have been doing certain stuff that I wasn't able to do because they had so much power over me and the video, which was just annoying. So like the dreams and stuff I had to do with the video, some of them just didn't get to happen because of that.
So you rang up Judith to get some advice,
and then she put me on with and just getting advice, and I sent over the contract that they wanted me to sign immediately, this network, to them, and they were looking at it and they're just like, we haven't seen one of these, this is so new, like this whole company's just to monetize YouTube videos and ads and stuff, and they were like, and there was not much talk of, and they were being all like, oh, it's just the channel, you own the intellectual property, it's your film, you've the rights to do what you want, you can do your thing, whatever you do, we're only going to claim money from ads on your channel, which turns out to be absolute bull in the future. And the way things are done. So yeah, but I was like, okay, and I had to make the decision. I had Judy being like, oh, I don't know, you should think about it. We haven't seen one of these before. And I'm like losing this money, and I've got an hour. But by this point, I've got half an hour before I've got to be in the car.
Oh my God.
So I just signed it, and I was like, I need to do this. Which, I'm glad I did, because it's better to have had that money than no money at all. Because even if I did have a bit more freedom in terms of the contract to make stuff in the future, that money allowed me to then leave the job and to keep making stuff and do things, because it's just, but I do regret signing that one. I could have signed the exact same contract with another company with better terms. Now I know. Like now I'm completely independent. I'm not with anyone. I'm like, no, I don't need you. Like, do it all myself.
So what was that journey like? The 6 hours without Wi-Fi? And
just in my own head constantly. The band was sick of it. They were like, because as well, it's like stealing their thunder in a way. I was like, they're on tour and like they're performing, so I didn't want to have to keep going on about my success when they're like, they've been waiting a year to come on tour and do stuff.
Were they generally a bit off with you in that?
No, they were supportive, they were lovely, but I was like just weary in my own head that I didn't want to make it about me. So then I was just sitting there driving. If anything, I talked to the band's manager was there, and he was like, just give me some tips. But he's in the music industry. He didn't know anything about this kind of stuff at the time. This was all so new. This is 10 years ago. Like Facebook wasn't even 10 years old at this point. YouTube had only just started having the monetization program for a few years. Like people didn't know what was going on. And so then I was just driving in my own head being like, oh, I've got 1 million views. And I still didn't know to look at subscriber count. I didn't know about followers. This whole time, my social media was on private. So I wasn't getting followers from people. Like my Instagram was I left that on private for like 2 years because I was paranoid that I'd made this look up video. And as soon as people realize that I'm sharing photos of my food and my dog and all this kind of stuff, they'll be like, who's this hypocrite? So I kind of just wasn't building up this following, but I was still thinking like, this many people, what could I do? And all I could think driving was this like feeling that I want to do, if I made this and it's really popular, then maybe I can do like a Kickstarter campaign to fund a feature film to put into like Sundance or something one day. I was still just thinking like, what's the next? How can I get to where I wanted to be off the back of this? But yeah, it's just, and then so it did 10 million the next day, and then it just kept going. So then by the time I got back from Germany a week and a half later, it had about 35 million views. And then so stuff kind of and then it was more, you need a publicist, you need this, you need to do that. And then before I knew it, I was like on BBC World News, like being interviewed, and then I was doing like BBC Breakfast and.
But how did that feel though?
Good Morning Britain.
What was that like? I mean, were you sleeping at this time?
Yeah. No, I had no like.
Because I feel like my adrenaline would just be.
I feel like it was all of this excitement and this craziness was drip fed to me because I was in Germany without my phone. It saved me, and I've always said it's completely saved me that I could have fully. Blown up or gone crazy or been tried to be too quick or do whatever. Like I was literally given time to stop, long drives to think and process stuff.
Yeah.
That I was able, it's just kind of I had these like moments of like craziness, and then like and imagine having I was sharing hotel rooms with 4 other people on this tour to like save money, and I was around 8 of my best friends 24/7 for 2 weeks while this happened. Imagine if I was on my own in my bedroom, having to get up to go to work the next day. All this is blowing up, no one to really talk to, and I'm just 24/7 looking at the computer.
Yeah.
6 hour drives to think to myself and to then chat to my friends, and then let them have the attention because they were on tour, and make it and film them, make it all about them, make them look good. It just kind of decompressed me. So when I came back, I was like sleeping well. I was already. I was just like, right, and I just didn't have a clue. So I was just like, you tell me, what do I do? Where do I need to go?
And how long did that go on for? The kind of melee. How long did it stay going? I'm doing beauty. How long did you stay? The world obsessed. It
was crazy from like a couple of months, May to July. Yeah, of like just constant, like everything was revolving around this video and going to meetings.
You were sent around the world, weren't you?
Yeah, that more came later though. That was but the weird thing is, I wish there was some company out there that spots when someone goes viral and then is like impartially gives them advice from experience, because no one said to me, oh, by the way, you know that video you made and it just made all that money? You can post another one. And if those people, everyone that comes to watch that video is probably going to see what else you've got and watch another one. And then you'll get a following of subscribers. I wasn't a follower of YouTube. I didn't know how YouTubers worked. I made one video and I didn't post another one for 6 months, and then didn't post another one for 6 months after that. And I still wasn't like checking the subscriber count because I was just like, I didn't even know really what that was.
I remember seeing you, Gary, in between the first and the second video.
I came to the second seat. I came to set. Was that where it was when I came to Derek?
I think it was in Brighton. I think you came to a gig, or we met in a pub or something.
Yeah, I can't remember. And
I remember we were chatting about what the fuck is next, following it up, and the pressure of creating the pressure yourself. And
because I was just like, God. I didn't really. There was I could have posted anything in the days after, and like I'd given myself that freedom of like, oh, he posts a lot. Some of it be up, some of it be down. And that people would stick with you, because I just went so long without, and then suddenly knowing I had to post another one, the pressure was huge to do a follow-up. And I was like, I just need to do something different or about a different subject. And all these brands were coming out as well and saying, can you make a video about this? Can you make a video about that? And we'll pay you can we have a video on your channel? And half of them are just getting the idea that they saw my reach suddenly, and the people that would come to the channel, that they didn't really care about what it was. And I just didn't want, until I had an idea, I didn't want not post for 6 months and then suddenly it's an advert. It's like, so I didn't do any of the brand stuff that came in.
Yeah. So you lost out, obviously, on lots of money there.
Yeah, I could.
What would you have been huge?
It could have been loads of deals and stuff.
Would you have done those, looking back, would you have done something with them now, do you think?
I mean, looking back, if I look right back, I probably wouldn't have put it on YouTube. This is a weird thing. I probably wouldn't have put it on YouTube. I would have submitted it as a short film to festivals, because that would have then lent me in the direction that I wanted to go in. Whereas there's a stigma attached that this is just a YouTube video.
Really? Do you reckon even now?
And it's free on the internet, and it's like, it's not, and it's just a flash in the pan, homemade thing. That even if I'm like, as a writer and as a director, and I wanted to make this film, and it's got this narrative to it, and it's put together and it's edited, it's not just like this viral caught on camera thing, that it's still in that genre of like, it's just a YouTube video.
Does it still feel like that now, YouTube? Yeah. Does it really?
Yeah, I guess. Well, for me, I think what other people's experiences are.
Yeah.
But
how funny, even after all that sort of essential success on YouTube, you'd still done it.
Yeah, and it's like what it's gone on to do. Like, it's now, that video is taught in schools around the world. Like, it's in the curriculum in the US. So like 13, 14-years have to watch, and they get sent, there's textbooks, and there's like, and they have to watch the video and answer questions. And it's like, in America, Germany, like I think Portugal, certain countries, that is actually, I mean, a lot, all over the world, teachers are just showing it to their kids and saying, check this out, enjoy it. But in some places, actually in the curriculum. And the thing about that is, it kind of gets me, because I'm like, wait, that's cool, because then it's like, I'm like the new Of Mice and Men type thing. But then he had a book that they all had to buy, and it went in all the schools. And I've just got this YouTube link that they just watched. I get nothing from like this being this big thing in all these schools, and all I get is emails from kids who can't bother to do their homework, who are just like, can you answer these questions for me that I've been asked to work out? And and it's also the whole like speaking side of things, which has kind of ended since the pandemic, but for like that's when I was
you did a lot of that, didn't you?
What did you do, sorry?
Just to go and perform the poem live, or to go talk about the experience. Or some companies were like, you know, I was getting invited to like all these big tech companies who are like trying to show that they've got this ethical like compass, where people are trying to get suddenly scared of their phones technology. Like, well, if we get this guy to come along as like a consultant or to talk at our event. So I was like performing in like forests in California, on top of mountains in Utah.
But Gary, you wrote this in 24 hours. You wrote in a day. So how did you feel like a fraud going over there, or did you feel
kind of, because I didn't even edit a single, you know, when you write something, you put it away, you go back over it, you cut stuff out. Like if I'd known that it was going to be, I wasn't making a YouTube video. If I'd known, I'd been like, well, 5 minutes is too long now. Like now I get all in my own head being like, oh, it needs to be really good within the first few seconds, and I can't be too long and they'll come off it. And I'm like, if I'd thought about any of that stuff, would it have been as successful? And so I just kind of, at the time, it was just this thing that I wrote in 24 hours and didn't polish up or anything. And it happened to work. And now kids are studying every line of it. And like the intention and the meaning, and I see the essays that they write that people put online and stuff. They're like websites you can go on, you know, where you pay to like have someone else cheat and you can buy an essay.
Yeah.
Like I've seen like essays on my work that I've managed to read that people have written, and I'm like, no, I didn't intend any of that, but it's, you know, you're whatever you think. And it's just, it's mad. That's the whole.
When you were asked to speak about it around the world, I mean, how did you feel doing that? Did you have confidence turning up at these?
Oh, complete imposter syndrome that I like shouldn't. Yeah, like because you got to think, a year to the point where I'm like sat on, like I was on like the One Show and stuff, and like doing like the Today Show and like all these TV shows talking about this film. A year before that, I was
going to say, you were talking about
I was getting you a tea and a banana.
Yeah, well, there's nothing wrong with that.
No, but like that's.
Did that ever come up in the chat?
I was invisible. I went from being invisible to like highly visible.
I noticed you, Gary, on set. Don't worry about that, son.
We had a rapport. I remember, you and Brett Goldstein were just like the nicest people on that set. They're just like, I felt like I had friends there. Like
putting that on a loop.
You and Brett Goldstein were just like the nicest people on that set. They're just like, I felt like I had friends there. Like Brett Goldstein were just like the nicest people on that set. They're just like, I felt like I had friends there. Like you and Brett Goldstein were just like the nicest people on that set. They're just like, I felt like I had friends there. Like,
oh yeah, nicest people on the set. Come on. The nicest person on the set. Me make Goldstein, yeah. Oh, nicest people on the set. Oh.
No, it made a huge difference though when I was like feeling like, is this what I want to be doing? I'm like, and you guys were just so like humble and nice and offered loads of advice, and it was always interesting as well, being like, oh, am I in the right place in what I'm doing? And sometimes you'd be sat there and you'd be in your own head being like, am I in the right place? Am I doing the right thing? And I'm like, well, if he's doing the dream and he's feeling that. But
what
it
are
was
you
really
doing now off the back of it? What's your life been since then?
Just what does it mean? It's just when people ask me what is my job and kind of stuff, or like trying to meet people, it's always the hardest thing, because it is like I'm living off the back of Look Up. Like that, I make videos and stuff still, but I've not posted anything publicly since like 2017 now, and partly because I then 2018 I did a whole year of just live stuff,
right?
I did like an hour long like show. It was like a mix of like a keynote speech with videos and performances and stuff, and I got to kind of go at different events. I wasn't popular enough to like tour it under my own name kind of thing. I'd go and do like festivals or events or conferences, and they'd put it in the schedule. And so I'd go around the world doing that. So I didn't really make any videos then. And then 2019, I did a TED talk. I got invited to go do. That was kind of cool. And then again, I got asked to do TED Talks for years, but they were wanting to talk about Look Up. And I was just like, I don't just want to be, I wanted to be a filmmaker and a writer and make stuff in that style with that emotion, that feeling. Whereas I was becoming the expert on social media and phones and things. And I was like, I don't want to be that.
Right.
So when I got asked to do TED Talks, I was always like, no, because I don't want to do it on that. And until one of them was like, hey, look, just come do what you want to do. Talk about what you want to talk. So I was like, oh, let me show that I can do emotion and feeling and story on something completely different. So I did a TED Talk. And then like 2 months after that was the pandemic. And then that was a struggle because I was doing stuff for brands and things like companies where I'd fly, like British Airways flew me to New Orleans because I had a new route. So I talked in like poetically about going to experience a new culture, and they made a video out of it. And there's companies like outdoor retail companies where they were trying to sell like outdoor clothing. So I'd go do a video about being in nature and do stuff, and then they'd do that. So I had all these kind of things lined up. And then in the pandemic, all the live stuff, all of that just ended. And then because I'd taken myself off of YouTube, so I wasn't making any money on there. My audience had dwindled. I had no engagement. I was relying on all the live work.
Does the audience leave you on YouTube if you're not posting now? Do people literally think about unsubscribing?
I don't think they do. It's all the algorithm in the background. Like it's restrictive. So I had a YouTube partner manager for a while. When you're big enough on YouTube, they give you a one-to-one person to like advise you and guide you and give you tips and do this stuff. And they told me all the insides of it. And they're like, look, if you post every day, you're going to get 100% of your subscribers will be notified. If you post once a week, maybe like 75%. If you don't post that often, some of them who've recently looked at your videos will be engaged. If you don't post often at all, then it's just going to be organic reach. And the more you post, they're going to put you on the homepage. They're going to put you in the recommended videos, because all YouTube's goal is to get people on there as often as they can for as long as they can and get them coming back. So if you're not posting regularly, they don't want people to watch you over someone else. They'd rather you go someone who's going to get you to come back every day. So they really incentivize you posting regularly and often. And also they're like, if it's going to be over so much long, we're going to put so many ads in it. And the more ads, the more money we'll make. And then the more it will get shared because they want to make the revenue. And it just was destroying all my creativity in terms of like, I'm only making stuff to service a machine. My creative decisions are being influenced by whether I think anyone's going to see it or not, or where is it going to be placed, or what am I going to call it, or what's the opening line going to be. And
oh my God.
And it's just, I found it really hard. And at one point I tried doing, I was like, okay, so I worked with a manager, like, we're going to do weekly. So I posted a video every week for like 2.5 months. And I saw it, like my subscribers grew. And I was doing all this stuff. They were like Q&A videos and things, and then get to know me. So my subscribers were growing, views were getting a bit better, but then I just felt terrible and I wasn't making what I wanted to make, and it wasn't good. So I just, after 2.5 months, I just stopped. And then and then I was like, I'm just going to make stuff when I want to make something. So I didn't post for almost a year. I had an idea to interview my granddad in a home with his friends because I just wanted to make a video, and I hadn't posted in ages. So I made that. And all my videos as well before that were doing like tens of thousands to hundreds of thousands. And to me, I was like, I remember my first video after Look Up did 500,000 views, and I was like, oh, it's failed. What a flop. Because I'd compared it to what I'd done before.
Oh, honestly, when you posted that second video, the pressure on you uploading it, and
yeah, I literally I got put on Good Morning Britain to promote a YouTube video after one video on YouTube that I hadn't planned on making. So she's sitting there talking about my upcoming video to Ben Shepherd on a sofa. And I'm like, do people come on here to promote their YouTube videos? I was like, the pressure on it was insane.
Oh my God. And were you happy with it when you put this out? Or were you like, oh, how are you feeling?
No, I didn't like it. It wasn't what I just felt pressured. Like 6 months, so I had to do something, I had to put something out. And it didn't have the story. Like Look Up started as a love story that then grew into like this message and the meaningful. It had a twist in it, had a narrative. And this other one was just me ranting about, like, I think it was on commercialization or something. It was called Live Rich. It was all about, spending less and living rich and just kind of experiences.
So when you got
500,000,
did that drive you to do another one, or were you like, I'm out, fuck it?
I had no real incentive to,
until
I had an idea. And then 6 months later, I think it was when there was an election on, I was like, that was when I had like, it was more just doing purpose-driven videos where I was like, I want young people to engage with politics a bit more and vote. So I thought I'm just going to make a video that encourages people to do that. And then that did 250,000. So I was like, oh, this is even worse. And and then I didn't do anything for a year after that on there. I had 3 videos. And then so I did a gig so there's so many like weird stories where I did like a gig on a mountain in Utah. And I was like, well, if they're going to fly me out there, and it was only for like 2 days, I was like, can you fly me to LA and then out of LA? And I'd never been there. I'd like to go try some stuff. And so I got an Airbnb in LA, reached out to some of the big names who DM'd me, ended up like meeting crazy people for dinner. They then were like, oh, you got any ideas what you can do next? And so I was just throwing caution to the wind and just being like, just saying whatever and just being like, oh yeah, I'd love to make a feature film or maybe like a docuseries based on what happened and stuff. They're like, oh, go take this meeting at Paramount. We'll go meet this person at Netflix, PBS. And I started taking all these crazy meetings. I got stuck in a house in the Hollywood Hills by a producer that's like insane, like one of these crazy like crib style houses while we were developing a show.
A photo on Facebook of your view from, and I was like, gee.
Yeah, and I moved to LA. I was there for months. Like,
you were there for months, did you say?
Yeah, like trying to pitch these shows and like doing this stuff, and everyone's like, it's such a fake place, and people were just taking meetings for the sake of meetings.
When did you work out it was fake? At what point did you go, this is just...
When the meetings wouldn't end. It was just a meeting about a meeting. Let's have a meeting about the next meeting. I won't meet this person. Like, oh yeah, we'll do that. We'll draft that up. We'll come to an agreement.
Why do they have the meetings if it's going there? Are they wasting their own time?
Because they want to make sure no one else gets something.
Yeah.
It's all about having you, even if they will buy an idea so that no one else can have it, or they'll be making something similar or know they can make something better, but they will want you to stay there and be keen or have your idea so that you don't go make it somewhere else when they're going to go do it as well. It's just so competitive. It's so two-faced. And it just didn't sit with me. Like, I just still want to just write and make stuff and it happen, like not be this part of this machine. So then I kind of walked away from that, and that's when I came back, and then I thought I'll do another video. So I did one about being in nature. And yeah, it did all right. And then I started doing, because throughout all of this and being invited to go here, go there, perform this, do a workshop.
Are you still in demand? Do you still get invitations to?
It's the pandemic, just kind of like there was all the live stuff just stopped, and I feel like a bit of momentum happens when you're doing corporate kind of speaking stuff, where someone from one company is at one and says, "Oh, we need to get him," and it just kind of so I saw it like snowball that when I was doing the gigs, they were getting more and more and more until it just stopped, and now it's like being slow.
Did you enjoy doing those? Did you enjoy?
I enjoyed the travel and going somewhere and being able to just do stuff, but the actual. I felt like it was very in a bubble. Like I still wanted, it wasn't like look up. I was like, no one else is seeing this other than the people in this room. And even what they are seeing is me giving a speech rather than a performance kind of thing. So kind of, I felt like I was living the life, but I wasn't necessarily doing what I wanted to be doing. And now I do so much stuff where I've got a company that makes spoken word training videos for like Fortune 500 big companies. So now if you like go get a job at like Starbucks or whoever clients have I got, people like Walmart or all these big companies, when you have to watch like the video on code of conduct or sexual harassment or bribery, I make these like look up in that style spoken word videos. And so now people have to watch these videos. They're like emotional, but it's poetic, but it's all about training. And so I just started a company doing that in the pandemic to kind of tidy me over. And it blew up. So now they're like, and all these massive companies are buying them. So like the last 2 years, I've just been running this company, making spoken word training videos that are selling around the world. But at the same time, I posted on my Instagram to kind of force me to do it. I had this idea of this video series I want to make for years now, where it's going to be completely just gaming. I'm going to test it. I'm going to try and do everything that like Instagram and TikTok and YouTube want you to do, but in my style and my way. So I'm going to start, I'm in the process of right now, I'm making 58 videos at once. And they're all short, like 30 seconds to 6 seconds long, kind of like my videos, but miniature and vertical. And they're going to go out twice a week. And I'm just going to be like, right, fuck it. let's just see what happens. And there's no pressure. It's just something that because I've realized I've just not done anything for like 5 years publicly. Everything's going great professionally and in my life, that I just feel like I feel more and more forgotten as I go on making this other stuff. So I'm just going to put something out there that is small and doesn't really matter, isn't amazing quality, is literally just disposable like people want on TikTok and Instagram and stuff. But that has got heart and got meaning. They're called small wonders, and it's all about the little hidden things in life that are between the big things and that are free and just get overlooked and kind of forgotten. So they're really broad little videos, post them online, see what happens, and then just see if I can engage with an audience again. And then I'll go from there, and just knowing what I know now, because I think I needed this time. Like what someone would hope for to happen in their career happened all at once when I wasn't ready for it. And I've learned so much over this time.
Yeah,
and in the same way that the bubble,
you could.
Yeah, and the same way that bubble kind of protected me, like taking that time away when everything's going crazy to just drive the car around Germany, helped me deal with that. I feel like the pandemic and everything suddenly stopping at once made me stop and think, okay, how am I going to approach this now if I'm going to, almost appreciate the fact that I've got no one expecting anything from me anymore. Like I'm starting from the bottom. If I now know how everything works, what I should do, what should happen, let's do that. Let's see what happens if I start from the very bottom, making the smallest thing, and then go from the Instagram videos to doing the YouTubes again, to doing that. Because the ultimate goal would be to just do one film a year, like a big film, whether it's a feature or to do a live show like my TED talk I did, which was 15 minutes long. We have a live band on stage doing spoken word, mixed with comedy, mixed with films, and make that, but rather than try and get a Netflix special thing, just put it on YouTube, like just change things and see what happens. So I'm still trying to figure it all out. I'm still processing it. I've had this amazing success, but I'm still on the treadmill trying to work out where do you go from here. But I'm blessed that I've got.
Look at us, mate. Look at what we've achieved with this podcast.
Don't aim that high.
Honestly, Gary,
But yeah, it's just the whole.
It's you've probably answered it doing that, but if you could go back 10 years or whatever, would you upload that video and go through it all?
I would be torn between doing that or submitting it to a film fest, but I feel like I shouldn't say I wouldn't post it, because I know I wouldn't have submitted to a film festival because I had no belief in the video whatsoever. I didn't think it was this big popular thing. I didn't think it was great. I saw all the cracks in it. I saw how cheaply it was made. I thought it was a bit cringy because I'd come from this world of doing comedy, and then suddenly I'm doing this earnest spoken word, meaningful video with a love story in it. I was like, oh God, is this a bit cringe? And it's spoken word. Like I refuse for anyone. Like the first time I went on BBC Breakfast, it came up at the bottom, Gary Turk, poet. And I'm like, I ain't a poet. What are you talking about? So it's just trying to fight the natural progression of what things were going to. Like I could have just gone on and become like this poet doing poet laureate or doing stuff, but it's just not, it wasn't me. So if anything, I would upload it, and I'm glad I uploaded it in the way that it's an amazing accomplishment, and this thing that happened that even right now, when I have not made anything for 5 years, no one's expecting anything, no one knows who I am, I haven't got much of a following, and I'm almost in the same place that I was. Rather than posting the mail, I'm making training videos. Like I am now being like, okay, this isn't exactly what I want to be doing, but what do I want to do? But now I've got look up. I've just got this calling card. I feel like I can just email someone if I wanted to make a feature film now, rather than being like, for me now, the hurdle is getting my ass in gear and writing that script. Whereas before I was like, well, even if I do that, then what? But now I'm like, well, if I do, then I can say, I've made this before. Yeah, I can probably apply for funding with showing that. It should be, things will be a lot easier. Yeah. So now more than anything, it's just motivation, making a decision, and just mental health, just dealing with like the pressures of it all and not trying to get too beholden to what I did before to guide me in what I do now. Like it's just trying to figure it all out.
Wow. Thanks for coming on.
So it wasn't a
fucking
million
story.
Barrel of laughs.
Oh, it's amazing. What are you on about?
Fucking laughter.
Yeah, there's so much weird stuff that happened though that I just... No, it's such a long-winded story of what happened that you don't even get into the whole...
Yeah.
Oh yeah, they did a whole parody episode of South Park of Look Up. That's my claim to fame. That's
What
my favorite
the
thing.
fuck?
And coming from comedy, I was just like, Jesus, yeah,
Oh my god.
yeah. My career was, I got like a special thanks credit. I was like, as soon as that was done, I'm like, that's it, retire.
Yeah, that's
But there's just like things like that I just forget about. This whole call, I was like, oh god, I've got to mention the cool stuff that's happened off the back of Look Up, and I'm just like, so many random little things.
I love thinking about you in your little cargo shorts going around Heathfield, wondering what to do, and then
Actually, a
it
year
is-
later, that
it's like a
happens.
then all this happens.
The next
it's
summer.
like a
yeah.
bloody
It's
film.
fucking nuts.
The whole story is like a film. Yeah, I was going to say, there's your film.
There we go. That's the picture.
Watching someone
Postman that
go
goes
viral as they're driving their mates around Germany.
Has there ever been like a film about someone going viral?
There is your
There
film.
we go.
I think there was a
Chatterbix production.
Yeah, exactly. Just if you really want it to just plateau quite low.
Oh
we'll
God,
get
it's
involved.
I just, when I was on the cutting greens on just that thing of just dreaming of what you want to do and not knowing what the fuck you can do.
There's so many times the reality of stuff, because it's just so interesting, because what you believe in is the thing is always so different to the reality.
I know, and it's just getting your head around. It's just a lot of self-belief and motivation, and just also realizing what you have, because you only ever look at what you don't have rather than what you do.
Yeah.
In the same way, it's like when I remember being on Derek and being like, oh, so what else? Because I met you before Derek just once. We were doing stand-up. I think it's in like Chichester or something.
Oh yeah.
And so when I first came to Derek, I was like, oh, you probably don't remember me, but it's like an open spot at a gig you were headlining and stuff. And I remember chatting to you being, oh, so what are you doing now other than this? And you were like, well, I'll do a little bit of landscape gardening and stuff. I'm like, what still? Like, yeah, that's what you did before. You're like, no, I still do that. And I also do this. And I'm like, you're starring in like a sitcom on Channel 4 with like Ricky Gervais. And you're being like, oh, but I don't. And you're like, I don't know if it's what I really want to. Yeah, I don't know if it's what I want, if this is going to last, or if this is what I want to do. And at the time, I just couldn't comprehend that. I was like, oh no, if I was you, I'd be living it up and be like, oh, no, this is me, this is what I'm doing. But now I completely get it. It'll be in 2024, it'll be 10 years since the first one came out. So I'm thinking, sequel? Look Up
A lot of
2?
pressure on that.
Look up
sequel.
again.
At least be able to flog it to schools. Well, you've been doing this for 10 years now.
Just say enjoy your phone. Really enjoy.
Yeah,
it.
just
I was
look
wrong.
down. Just completely change
It's
it.
fucking brilliant.
Have you seen this on your phone? Wow. These apps are fantastic.
Yeah.
But also, I couldn't do anything after Look Up came out, you realise, because I've just told everyone to get off their phones and off
always did
social
think
media.
that, yeah, so
So I couldn't, like, every interview I did was like, isn't it ironic, though, that you put it online? And like, I'm like, that's where the people are. Like, what would be the point of me
who
going into the
cares?
street and shouting? It's
Tell
just,
them about My Fitness Pal and Couch to 5K. Some super little apps you can get on there.
yeah.
yeah. I like the one where you can get cheap food after it's all sold out. Do you know that one?
Oh, yeah, the way they live, and there's like Pret and places that close and like,
yeah, £3.
you just get the bits at the
If
end.
you're prepared to go in there and go, can I have this for £3? It's brilliant.
Second verse.
There we go.
He said, just ideas, Gary. They're just ideas. Just to help.
You wait,
that-
you'll be like, a couple of months later, you'll see this they'll be here on the news. New video goes viral. And you'll be like, hold up.
Son of a bitch.
That was
just
entirely
taking
my idea.
My app.
Oh,
Amazing.
Thank you,
for
Gary.
taking your morning to chat to us.
That's all
Yeah.
right. Yeah, it's all
Yeah.
a load of
no, it's
waffle.
brilliant.
No, it's not
And,
at all. It's excellent.
Good luck with the next thing.
Yeah, I hope you go viral.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. It's a blessing and a curse. It'd be good if I do. Absolutely fine if I don't.
Yeah. No, it really is fine if you don't. It really
Yeah.
is.
But good luck.
Yeah.
All right. Well, cheers, guys.
Cheers,
Cheers,
Gary.
Gary.
Thank you very
Thanks
much.
a million.
Loved
Catch you
it.
later.
Take care.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.